The Forsaken Heir. Previous episodes are available on the playlist. You can also visit our website for your favorite stories. A link is provided in the video description. Episode 14. Claire hurriedly took the umbrella and pushed the door to get off. Seeing this, Charlie hurriedly ran after her. "Elsa, what happened?" Claire ran to ask when she got out of the car. "Claire? Why are you here?" Elsa shivered under the rain, suddenly raised her head, just to see Claire. She looked surprised and extremely embarrassed, as if she didn't want to be seen by her girlfriends in such embarrassed manner. Claire held an umbrella for Elsa and said at the same time, "I happened to pass by with Charlie. I saw you. What's wrong with you?" Elsa said annoyedly, "Don't mention it, the company asked me to run sales and gave me a car. I came out to see the customer today. Before I could meet the customer, the tire got punctured. And I just looked at it and it seems that the other got punctured too. I'm so angry." Charlie was a little puzzled. It is normal to drive with one tire out of function to some distance. However, under normal circumstances, sharp objects such as nails or iron wires are accidentally pressed, so in general, only one tire must be punctured. If both tires are punctured at the same time, it feels a bit wrong. So he said to Elsa, "The rain is getting heavier, and it is not safe for you to stay here alone. It is better to go back to the city with our car first, and leave your car here, wait for the rain to stop and call for help to drag it back." Elsa nodded, sighed, and said, "It can only be this way." Charlie was taking her back to the car. At this moment, she heard a sound of breaking through the sky very keenly. She immediately saw a silver light bursting through the air in the heavy rain. Moreover, this silver light came straight to Elsa. Charlie didn't even think about it, and instantly stretched out his hand and pulled Elsa into his arms. At the same time, just hearing the sound of dang, a sharp flying knife was pierced on the front cover of the Mercedes. The blade is as thin as a willow leaf, sharp and shiny, and it is still buzzing. The front cover of the car is made of hard metal, but this extremely thin throwing knife is cut in half like tofu. There was silence all around, and the eyes of several people were fixed on the flying knife. Fortunately, Charlie was able to save her in time. The flying knife that came straight to Elsa's temple brushed Elsa's cheeks. The sharp blade cut off a few hairs of her. It was really thrilling. Even if Elsa came from a famous family and had experienced many storms, she couldn't help screaming when she saw this suddenly. Immediately afterwards, another cold light attacked by two knives. Charlie frowned, held Elsa and turned around, flashing the two life-threatening knives in an instant. This flying knife is full of vigor. If it weren't for the protection of the exercises in the 9 profound heaven scriptures, it would be impossible to save Elsa at this time, or to protect himself even. Elsa was also stunned. Unexpectedly, in Oris Hill, someone wanted her life. What she didn't expect was that it was Charlie who rescued her twice. At this moment, Charlie hugged Elsa, raised his head coldly, and looked into the rain curtain. He saw an off-road vehicle parked not far away. A person in the vehicle was looking at him dumbfounded, as if he did not expect to rescue Elsa from his throwing knife. "Who is the kid, dare to spoil the good things of my brothers?" In the off-road vehicle, two figures came down. The two men were full of murderous aura and walked towards Charlie. Among the two oncomings, the one walking in front was a man in white. This man was wearing a white silk cloth practice clothes with a fluttering robe, and even a drop of rain did not hit him. The other is in black and has a strong body. Powerful muscles. A barrier seemed to have formed around his body, automatically isolating the rainwater. Charlie glanced lightly and saw that these two men were beyond normal and their skill was not low. At this moment, Irvin Jones, who was sitting in the car window and looking out, suddenly seemed to have seen a ghost and wanted to run as soon as he opened the car door. Charlie's eyes were quick and fast. He grabbed his back collar, and said coldly, "Where are you running?" "Oliver Vincent, they are Oliver Vincent." Irvin Jones yelled in a panic while struggling, "Mr. Wade, let me go, I don't want to die." The sturdy man sneered, "You can recognize the brothers, you are a little bit knowledgeable, but before our brothers are done, none of you should leave." Oliver Vincent. Charlie looked at the two of them, frowning for some reflection. There was a piece of news on the hot search the year before, which was broadcast on several TV stations in a loop, and he accidentally watched it while cooking at home. The news is a pair of vicious robbers who hijacked the son of the richest man in Hyken and demanded a huge ransom of 80 million. In the end, the richest man also had the backbone. Not only did he not give it, he also spent 100 million to invite the elders of the Gyawu Association Alliance in Nangguang to ask for his son to be rescued. The Nangguang Armed Forces League's combat power is the first in the province, with its armed forces spreading across Nangguang, and its power is huge. Once the Armed Forces League issues a wanted order, it is tantamount to setting up a network of men across heaven and earth. Elder Isaac has profound cultivation, ranking 5th in the entire Wu League, and he is famous. At that time, everyone was waiting and waiting for the robbers to kneel and beg for mercy. As a result, Elder Isaac hunted down for 7 days, but he did not even find the shadow of the robbers. In the end, in order to save face, he had to ask the entire Wu League to dispatch, but they were still hounded away by the robbers. After the robbers escaped, they cut off one of the ears of the richest man's son as a threat, and the ransom was raised to 300 million. The richest man had to honestly pay a ransom of 300 million, then redeemed his son. In particular, it can be seen that Oliver Vincent's strength is indeed great, and they flew around to commit crimes. Ordinary people were suddenly targeted by them, and they could not escape the clutches. Oliver Vincent came this time, aiming directly at Elsa, in order to kill Elsa. Elsa's face changed sharply. "After I came to Oris Hill, I have always kept a low profile and have never fought with anyone. Why would you kill me?" The sturdy man sneered at this moment. "We have no grievances with you, let alone know you. It's just that someone is spending money to buy your life." Elsa asked, "Who is it? Who wants my life?" The big man smiled and said, "Why do the dead still have so many problems?" Charlie guarded both Elsa and his wife Claire at this time, and said coldly, "What? Do you dare to kill in front of me? Have you ever asked me?" The white-clothed man said coldly, "What are you? We two brothers have killed countless people. A slump like you doesn't even deserve to be killed by us." After all, the white-clothed man said again, "However, since you don't have long eyes in my hands today, then the fate of all of you is over." Claire and Elsa's faces pale in fright. These people look like angels of death, and they definitely have seen blood on their hands, so angry and daunting. Charlie said to Claire, "Claire, take Elsa to the car, don't worry about it, leave it to me." Claire didn't want to. "I don't. I'm with you." Charlie said coldly, "Go. Don't stay here to distract me. It will hurt us all by then." Claire nodded then, pulling Elsa to return to the car. Elsa was pulled by her and staggered. A white stone slipped out of her pocket and fell to the ground. At this moment, Charlie sneered and said, "Two ants, dare you to yell in front of me? You two are really tired and crooked." The sturdy man smiled contemptuously, and said, "I don't know who is the ant, you can try it." After finishing speaking, the sturdy man blasted Charlie's head with a punch, and the fist wind was extremely strong, and he seemed to smash Charlie's head directly. Seeing this, Charlie said lightly, "Things that don't know whether they live or die." After that, he kicked the big man with his foot, accurately kicking the important part. Although the figure of the big man is fast, it is far not as fast as Charlie. In an instant, he could no longer see where Charlie was in front of him, and immediately after that, he felt a sharp pain in his crotch. "What?" The big sturdy man suddenly screamed, put his hands in his pants, and collapsed to the ground with his waist bowed. A piece of blood gradually oozes from his pants. The sturdy man was about to faint in pain, and howled miserably, "Big brother, big brother, my egg is broken." The man in white didn't expect Charlie to escape his younger brother's attack. What's even more incredible is that not only did he escape the attack, he even injured his younger brother with one blow. This made his face suddenly change, and he looked at Charlie in surprise. He is also a person with a cultivation base, and he is fully aware of what this is. It is an extremely powerful inner family spell. At least there are warriors who have been practicing for more than decades. But the young man in front of him is only in his 20s, and he didn't expect to be an invisible master. If he fights against him, he can only draw a tie at best. At this moment, Charlie stepped on the face of the sturdy man with the soles of his shoes, stomped his head into the muddy water, and said with a playful smile, "Weren't you arrogant with me just now? I can't be a man right now, interview you, how does it feel to be a eunuch?" The gravel on the ground made several blood stains on the sturdy man's cheeks. He endured the pain and humiliation, and screamed wildly, "Big brother, cut this kid! Cut him!" Just now he was kicked and exploded by Charlie. He has been abandoned. If it weren't for his profound cultivation, if he were replaced by an ordinary person, there would be no life left. Now, he can no longer care about his roots, he just wants Charlie's life. Seeing Charlie stepping on his younger brother's face, insulting at will, the man in white had a gloomy face as if dripping water. In anger, he didn't care about Charlie's unfathomable reach out of his hand, just thinking of killing him and avenging his brother. So he roared in anger, "Boy, I'm going to take your skin off and eat your flesh and blood." Charlie said with a playful smile, "Eat my flesh and blood? With all due respect, with your three-legged cat's skill, eating me is more than enough. You." The man in white is going crazy. Oliver Vincent had a prestigious reputation on the road when they will be seen insulted like this. The man gritted his teeth and shouted hysterically, "I'm fighting you." In the next second, everyone felt that there was a flower in front of them, and the figure of the white-clothed man turned into a phantom and punched Charlie at the door. As the white-clothed man punched, a wave of air was set off around him, forcing the rain around him to disperse backward involuntarily. Wherever his fist wind passed, all the rain turned into steam. "This is killing people." Irvin Jones was horrified and turned around to go under the car. Elsa, who had just been pulled into the car by Claire, was so scared that she held her breath and was extremely nervous, for fear that her savior would die here because of her. Although Claire was also very nervous, she felt that Charlie would surely be able to turn the bad into the good. At this moment, Charlie looked at the white-clothed man with a cold face. He did not see the white-clothed man's offensive in his eyes at all, but when he got close in front of him, he grasped the white-clothed man's fist and twisted it 180 degrees. There was a crackling of joints, accompanied by the violent howl of the white-clothed man. The entire palm was completely dislocated and deformed, the bones and veins were all broken, and the entire wrist was limply drooping. "Big brother!" the big man on the ground screamed suddenly. Charlie didn't look at it and stepped on him again with one foot. Snapped! The sturdy man's chest suddenly collapsed deeply, swallowing a few mouthfuls of muddy water, followed by a few mouthfuls of blood, and then, his body shook a few times, and there is no movement. "Second brother!" The white-clothed man was about to collapse at this time. His eyes were splitting, revealed fierce light, and a burst of energy broke out all over his body. The white-clothed man squeezed his right hand into an eagle's claw, and an afterimage swayed in the air. There were dozens of hand shadows in the air, and the crowd couldn't distinguish between the real and the false. Charlie didn't move. The white-clothed man's eyes showed a glare, and he suddenly pointed to Charlie's eyeball. "This finger condenses his whole body's energy, be sure to kill the enemy with one blow." Poke in Charlie's eye socket, directly pierced the eyeball, pierced his finger deep into the eye socket, and pierced his brain. And the inner strength on the fingers can directly shatter Charlie's head like a watermelon. Charlie stood coldly and suddenly laughed. Unbearable. He casually slapped it. No one knew, he had an aura in his palm. This slap was more fierce than a car crash. Boom! With a movement of his hands, Charlie slapped the white-clothed man to the ground with a slap like a dog. There was silence all around. Claire rubbed her eyes vigorously, almost unable to believe it. Irvin Jones was also stunned. These two are really Oliver Vincent? This strength is a bit inconsistent with rumors. In the legend, the most powerful boss was slapped to the ground by Charlie? How is this possible? The white-clothed man collapsed to the ground, unable to get up anymore. His heart was terribly shocked. This slap seemed to be an understatement, but when the slap fell, a few strong internal breaths penetrated into his head, rushing around the body along the meridians, like a fuse, letting several important veins in his body all burst. All the important veins in his body burst and all his skills have been lost. The white-clothed man was extremely shocked and screamed with great pain. Being able to possess such a hidden inner strength is simply unfathomable, and he can't see the details of Charlie at all. Even the first person in the Wu League already dominates the Nangguang area. It is impossible to have such a strong skill. And Charlie's skill is probably still above it. Where did this guy come from? He and his brother, this time are not here to kill, but to die. At this moment, Charlie slammed his groin with a punch, and his groin burst in his abdomen with a punch, and his whole person instantly became useless with his hands and feet unconscious, only one step away from death. With one punch down, Charlie looked down at the man in white condescendingly, his eyes were full of irresistible coldness, and the cold voice asked, "Say, who is going to kill Elsa?" The white man's face was as grey as death. At this moment, he has been abolished. For the warrior, life is worse than death, and his spirit is completely destroyed. He desperately said, "You kill me, let me die with dignity." Charlie said coldly, "Dignity? You're not worthy. If you don't tell Master Wade behind the scenes, I will break all the meridians in your body, so that you can't even blink your eyelids for the rest of your life. Then I will send you to the police station, you seem to be a wanted criminal, and I can exchange a lot of money. Then I will let you lie down and go to prison for the rest of your life." The white-clothed man said in amazement, "I am inferior to others in his skills, and I am guilty of death. I just ask you to give me a happy ending here." Charlie nodded, say it, I'll give you a happy one." The white-clothed man hesitated for a moment and blurted out, "The employer is a cousin of Elsa. We must kill Elsa in Oris Hill to prevent her from living." Charlie nodded faintly, "If that's the case, then you can taste the death." With that said, Charlie used the technique to directly stun the white man to death. Elsa was shocked when she heard the words of the two of them. Is it her cousin who wants to kill her? Could it be that what happened at home? He didn't want to let her go back to East Cliff alive. Isn't this too cruel? At this moment, Irvin Jones got out from under the car and noticed the white stone that Elsa had dropped earlier on the ground. He quickly picked it up, and when he was about to hand it to her, he was taken aback. "Miss, isn't this the stone of peace and wealth? Why is it in your hands?" Elsa was shocked and asked in surprise, "Do you know it?" Irvin Jones scratched his head and smirked, "I sold this stone to Mr. Wade. Later, he didn't know where he lost it. He ran up and asked me if I have the same stone. Unfortunately, there is only one stone in the world. Where is the second one? I didn't know it at this moment." Elsa couldn't believe it, her chest was like something bursting open, and Irvin Jones's words kept echoing in her ears. She murmured, "Is this stone the only one in the world?" "Only this one." Irvin Jones said affirmatively, "There are no two identical leaves in this world, nor can there be two identical stones. I recognize that this stone is definitely this one and only this one." Speaking of this, Irvin Jones sighed, "Hey, it's a pity, I have never been able to find a similar stone for Mr. Wade since then." "Mr. Wade? He kept it from me for so long." The savior whom she has longed for, the lover of her dream for a long time, turned out to be him. She actually fell in love with the good girlfriend's husband, Charlie. She was so desperate that she burst into tears. She couldn't help asking God, "Is there anything more ironic than this in the world?" At this moment, Elsa was struck by lightning. She looked at Charlie, who was full of murderous air, and her heart was terrified. At the same time, she immediately pushed him into an extremely contradictory situation. And where did Charlie know that he had been recognized by Elsa? After solving Oliver Vincent, the corner of his mouth still sneered. The Oliver Vincent, the name is like martial arts, but in fact, they are just two dead dogs. However, in Irvin Jones's eyes, he was already looking terrified. Oliver Vincent has been rampant on the road for many years, killing countless people with both hands, and had never suffered a defeat. The whole Oris Hill was frightened. However, they so strong that the two actually died under Charlie's two moves, which really made him unable to believe. That being said, isn't Mr. Wade's strength able to top Oris Hill? At this moment, Charlie glanced at the two corpses that had gradually become cold, then turned her head and saw Elsa's expression in a trance. She seriously reminded, "Elsa, your cousin cannot hire them to kill you this time. Secondly, I suggest you be more careful these days, and it is better to hire a bodyguard to be prepared." Elsa looked at Charlie with an extremely complicated expression, adjusted her breathing after a while, bit her lip, and whispered, "But I will not find a suitable bodyguard for a while." Now Elsa is struggling with conflicting thoughts in her heart. First, the people in her family and her cousin wanted to kill her, and then the mysterious man she fell in love with turned out to be the husband of a good girlfriend. These two things were tortures for her, making her feel very miserable and helpless. How did Claire know that a good girlfriend is in love with her husband? She stepped forward and hugged her gently, patted her shoulder gently, and comforted, "Elsa, don't worry too much. Since Charlie can fight so well, even the famous Oliver Vincent are not his opponent. You can ask him to protect you in the future. Pay attention to it at ordinary times. If you are not at ease when you go out, you can call him at any time and let him protect you." What Claire thought was that since her husband has this ability, it is only natural for him to protect her girlfriends. But what she didn't know was that a good girlfriend fell in love with her husband. Elsa, who was on the side, was still very disappointed, but when she heard this, she burst into joy and her heart throbbed. She did not feel depressed because the lover in her dream was Charlie or even lost her feeling for him. On the contrary, because Charlie rescued her again today, in her mind, Charlie became the superhero who saved her twice. If it weren't for Charlie, she would probably not escape the calamity twice. This is also the reason why her feelings for Charlie suddenly increased much more than when she had for the mysterious person before. Although she also knew that to fall in love with a good girlfriend's husband was too immoral. However, she also knew that the two were not really husband and wife. The two got married because of the insistence of Claire's grandfather, and the two had never had any emotional foundation. Even when she was chatting with Claire the other day, she heard from her that she and Charlie had never been married to each other, and they still slept separately. Claire slept in bed and Charlie slept on the ground. So, does this mean that she can like Charlie and not feel sorry for her good girlfriends? Maybe if she could get together with Charlie, it would be a relief for her good girlfriend. Thinking of this, she hurriedly said to Charlie with joy, "Then I will trouble you, Charlie." Charlie smiled faintly and said, "It's not troublesome at all." His smile made Elsa's heart tremble again. Reason tells her that Charlie is a best friend's husband and there is no chance, but Elsa can't help but have strange thoughts because of the emotional impulse. Charlie didn't know Elsa's thoughts and left his phone number to Elsa. At this moment, Irvin Jones leaned forward and said with a flattering expression, "Mr. Wade, you are so amazing. The evil stars like Oliver Vincent can't do a single trick in front of you. Irvin Jones reveres you." admire you by throwing 5 body throwing on the ground, you are like a god among the gods. With that said, Irvin Jones knelt directly on the ground without hesitation. Charlie looked at him in a solitary manner, and deliberately asked him, "I said Irvin Jones, what did you run just now? Are you afraid I can't beat Oliver Vincent?" "No, no." Irvin Jones was pale and hurriedly explained, "Mr. Wade, you have misunderstood, how could I doubt your strength? I just got confused just now, so please don't take it to your heart." After finishing talking, Irvin Jones banged his head and tremblingly said, "Mr. Wade, you are the real dragon on earth. From now on, I will not worship the sky or the earth, I will only worship Mr. Wade." Claire looked at Irvin Jones's dog-licking gesture, shook his head, and said to Charlie, "What do you do now?" "I killed both Oliver and Vincent, should we call the police?" Charlie thought for a while, and said lightly, "You get in the car first, I will solve it." Claire nodded and got into the car with Elsa and Irvin Jones. When they all got in the car, Charlie took out his mobile phone from his pocket and called Isaac, the spokesperson of the Wade family in Oris Hill, the owner of Shangri-La Hotel. Soon the call was connected, and Isaac's respectful voice rang, "Mr. Wade." Charlie said calmly, "I met Oliver Vincent. These 2 dogs barked at me. Now they have become 2 dead dogs. The corpses are on the side of the road. I don't want to leave any trouble. You send someone right now and deal with it." Hearing this, Isaac was shocked and said, "Mr. Wade, you solved the Oliver Vincent? God, that's a famous thief duo in Oris Hill. The methods are cruel and ruthless, and the strength is also number 1 in East Cliff." Isaac couldn't help but said excitedly, "Mr. Wade, you are so amazing. If the Wade family knows your strength, it would definitely cause a huge sensation." Charlie said calmly, "It's enough for you to know this, don't pass it back to the Wade family, or I will never forgive you." Isaac respected Charlie's orders, and said respectfully, "It's the young master, I must be tight-lipped, and I will send someone to deal with it right now." Charlie gave a satisfied hum, then hung up the phone and walked to the car. Opening the car door, Charlie sat in the driver's seat and started the car calmly, as if what he had killed just now was really just 2 dogs. Elsa sat in the back row, her beautiful eyes staring at Charlie's profile. In her eyes, 2 shining lusters flickered in them. Carefully tasted, there was actually a color of love and admiration. After the car arrived in the city, the terrifying storm just now gradually stopped. Then, as the wind rose and the clouds rose, a rainbow of 7 colors hung in the sky, attracting countless people to stop and watch. Charlie stopped the car at the entrance of the small commodity market and let Irvin Jones get out of the car. After Irvin got off the car, he respectfully raised his bows at Charlie, and said, "Thank you, Mr. Wade." Charlie looked at him and said lightly, "Irvin Jones, you must never tell anyone what happened today, do you understand?" "Mr. Wade, don't worry, Irvin understands." Irvin Jones's face was full of admiration, and he had treated Charlie like a god. Charlie nodded in satisfaction and drove away. And Irvin Jones stood there, watching Charlie drive away, but did not dare to move for a long time. As for Elsa in the car, Charlie and Claire directly took her to the hotel. Elsa has always stayed in a hotel in Oris Hill and lived in Shangri-La. The security here is very good, and it is the property of the Wade family. It would take Elsa's cousin tons of courage, and he would never dare to attack Elsa here. Until she got out of the car, Elsa's eyes looking at Charlie were still very complicated. She was like a big rock in her heart. She had a lot of words. She wanted to say to Charlie, she wanted to thank him, and she wanted to confess to him, regretting that she had no eyes. She read him wrong. It was just that in front of Claire, what she wanted to say could not be said at all. Can't help it. Several times, Elsa hesitated and stopped. Elsa arrived at the door of the hotel. Claire hugged her and said softly, "Elsa, remember, you must call Charlie when you encounter trouble, and don't let yourself be in danger." Elsa nodded and said softly, "Don't worry, Claire, I will." Charlie looked at Claire holding Elsa, and couldn't help feeling sore. His wife had not held him many times, but she often held Elsa, her best friend. Charlie didn't notice. Elsa looked at Claire's eyes with some envy as well. Taking into account that Elsa is Claire's best friend, Charlie likes their company. For her safety, he took advantage of the second daughter's goodbye to send a message to Isaac, "Please send a message to Eastcliff Dong's family. If they follow the idea of harming Elsa anymore, I will level the Dong family." The strength of the Dong family is less than 1/10 of the Wade family. They will not dare to make another mistake after separating from Elsa. After Charlie and the two returned home, Claire hurried to the bathroom to take a shower and change clothes because of the rain. Charlie handed all the money he took back from Irvin Jones to Jacob. Jacob triumphantly took over 300,000 and said excitedly, "These 300,000 are just the beginning. Next time I will earn him 3 million by picking up leaks. From now on, our family's good life will depend on me." Ha 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 ha. Charlie smiled awkwardly, and said in his heart, Jacob, you can spare Irvin Jones. This grandson has been cheated for so long, and I don't know how much money he can make, but he lost 300,000 from you all at once. If you find some rubbish crafts for him, he thinks that he is the old master, and he is afraid that you will be angry, and then spend a lot of money to buy it. He will be tortured to bankruptcy sooner or later. Although Irvin Jones is a profiteer, his human nature is not bad. It is indeed impossible to let him cut meat to the old master. So Charlie persuaded him, "Dad, you should not deal with Irvin Jones less in the future. This person doesn't have a word in his mouth. Sooner or later you will suffer a lot if you get caught with him." Jacob disdainfully said, "What do you know? You show people feng shui or something outside, that's a lie. We are doing a serious antique business. If you don't understand, don't follow suit. Keep your eyes open and look good. Go ahead." Seeing that Jacob had identified this path of no return, Charlie could only shake his head helplessly and return to the bedroom. When he walked into the bedroom, Claire had already taken a shower and put on lavender silk suspender pajamas. The fragrant shoulders were like snow, the jade arms were smooth and tender, and most of her beautiful back was exposed. Charlie couldn't help his throat dry as his eyes focused on her. The pajamas, thin as cicada wings, neatly outline the graceful curves of her lying on her side. The skirt just covers her thighs. The two curvy legs are slightly close together, and the jade feet are round as jade. Claire's face was reddened by his fiery eyes, and she quickly groaned, "What are you looking at?" It's not that you haven't seen it before, what's so beautiful? Charlie smiled, my wife, you look so beautiful, I can't see enough. Claire rolled her eyes, but her beautiful eyes flashed with strange colors. Today Charlie's performance surprised her. Previously, she thought that Charlie would only look at feng shui and know a little about martial arts, but she didn't expect him to be so brilliant. At the critical moment, it was really unusual to be able to save the life of her best friend. She couldn't help asking, Charlie, tell me, why are you so powerful? Even Oliver Vincent are not your opponents. Charlie grinned and said, this is a secret unless you let me KSS, otherwise I won't tell you. Claire screamed, blushing, and said, in your dreams. Charlie looked at Claire's little woman's posture, and his heart was hot. He turned around and opened the closet to find the quilt. But when he opened the closet, he was stunned. The closet was empty, and the mattress he usually used to hit the floor was gone. Wife, where is my quilt? Charlie turned around and asked. Claire recovered and said, I just took it and washed it for you. Charlie was speechless for a while, and even the place to sleep was gone, and said helplessly, I can't sleep on the floor without a mattress, then I'll go to the sofa. Really a pig? Claire curled her lips, took out her personal bedding from the closet, and handed it to Charlie, you use mine. On the white bedding, there was still a faint fragrance. Charlie exulted, and said dryly, wife, you are so kind to me. Claire glanced at Charlie and said, go to sleep. Charlie replied, holding Claire's private bedding, smelling the faint fragrance, and couldn't help but feel excited. If this continues, wouldn't he be able to sleep with his wife soon? At this time, Claire said to him, I have to be busy with the studio for these 2 days. I just got up the matter and I have to hurry up to find some orders. You stay with my dad at home. Don't let him go out and buy things. Those antiques, have you heard of them? Charlie hurriedly said, my wife, I'll go to help your studio. No salary, I'll clean the table, sweep the floor, serve you tea, or something. Claire smiled and said, no, the studio is still out of work. If the work goes alive, I can draw pictures and make design drafts. I don't need your help. You can do housework at home. Early the next morning, Claire hurried to the studio. Charlie rode his electric bike to buy vegetables at the vegetable market. Claire has been busy working on the work of the studio recently. It has been very hard. He bought some high-nutrition dishes to supplement his wife. When he finished buying vegetables, Charlie just came out of the vegetable market and saw Elsa in there. Charlie! Elsa called him, her face full of excitement. Charlie looked at her and said in surprise, Elsa, what a coincidence, you are here too. Elsa looked at Charlie and said falteringly, yes, no, I am. Charlie was a little confused, and said, speak slowly, have you encountered something? Elsa couldn't help her cheeks getting embarrassed. In fact, she had been waiting outside Claire's home early in the morning and had been following Charlie all the way. Elsa plucked up the courage, but her red lip lightly, and said, I came here to thank you specially. Thank you for saving me yesterday. Charlie couldn't laugh or cry and said, I saved you because you are Claire's best friend. You don't have to be so polite with me for that. What did he think it was because of this? Elsa shook her head and summoned the courage to continue. Charlie, in fact, I still know that not only did you save me yesterday, but you were also the one who saved me last time at the Oris Hill Hotel. Charlie snorted. How could Elsa know what happened last time? He masked himself last time, she shouldn't have known it. He hurriedly denied it and said, You must have admitted the wrong person? I have never been to an Oris Hill restaurant. There must be someone else who saved you. Elsa looked at Charlie with incomparably complex eyes, with unwillingness, admiration, and unspeakable resentment in it. Why didn't he even have the idea of confessing? Isn't he so worthless in his own eyes? He didn't even admit to saving her? Thinking of this, she said with tears in her eyes, when I was in the Oris Hill Hotel, Harold invited me to dinner. I was accosted by the rich second generation. As a result, Harold provoked others and was surrounded by people at the door of the restaurant. At the critical juncture, Harold left me and escaped. At that time, there was a masked hero, like a world-famous hero, who defeated everyone and saved me, and you also saved me. Speaking of this, Elsa's complexion instantly turned red, and that day she had a skin-to-skin relationship with Charlie, and her pants were taken off by him. Of course, she also knew very well that Charlie took off her pants, in fact, to save her, and did not have any unruly intentions. Charlie's face turned green after hearing this. This lady, who really doesn't open the pot, can she admit this kind of thing? Of course not. If he let Claire know that something like this happened to him and her girlfriend, she can't blow up the pot. Elsa, you really misunderstood. I can fight very well, but I am really not your savior. After speaking, he hurriedly changed his words. Even if it was me, it was only the one time I saved you yesterday. Seeing that Charlie didn't admit it at this time, Elsa sighed faintly and took out the safe and wealthy stone from her pocket. What about this stone? How do you explain it? Charlie's eyes widened. Isn't this his own stone that has been lost for a long time? He couldn't find it all the time. Why was it in Elsa's hands? Could it be that he rescued her at the Oris Hill Hotel and it was picked up by her? No wonder he couldn't find this stone after that day, it turned out to be lost that day. And it happened to be picked up by Elsa. I really can't explain it now, let me go, he said in his heart. Thinking of this, Charlie could only bite the bullet and pretended to be stupid, and said, What do you mean? Isn't this just a broken stone? Elsa looked at Charlie's eyes seriously and said, Don't lie to me, Irvin Jones has already told me that this stone is yours. It is called the Ping and Wealth Stone, and it is unique in the world. When Charlie heard this, he secretly scolded Irvin Jones bloody. How could this Irvin speak out? Seeing that Elsa had grasped the conclusive evidence at this time, Charlie could only nod and confessed, Well, I admit that I was the one who rescued you at the Oris Hill Hotel at the time, and I saw you by accident that day. Tell Claire. As Charlie admitted, the atmosphere between the two became silent for a while. Charlie was embarrassed that he had concealed his identity for so long, but Elsa directly pierced him, not knowing how to face her. But Elsa's thoughts are surging like waves, and her mind is extremely complicated. Elsa looked at Charlie, wanted to speak a few times, but she wanted to stop. Finally, she mustered up the courage and took a step forward, only half a slap away from Charlie's body. "Charlie, I like you." The corner of Charlie's mouth twitched, and he took a step back without a trace, and said, "Elsa, I am your girlfriend's husband." Elsa gritted her teeth and said, "So what? I know that you and Claire have no relationship basis. You were married at the time because of Mr. Wilson. If so, then you're not a husband who snatches a girlfriend, you are my girlfriend's fake husband." With that, Elsa grabbed Charlie's hand and placed it on her heart, and said in a loving tone, "Charlie, I am not an inferior beginning, and I am not inferior to her in any sense. I am still the eldest daughter of the Dong family. And I love you more than her, I am willing to do anything for you." Charlie felt the plumpness on Elsa's chest, quickly withdrew his hand, and refused, "Elsa, there is absolutely no possibility for the two of us. I cannot betray Claire, and I believe that you are just having a momentary impulse. Don't put your mind on me, it's not worth it." Elsa was rejected by Charlie. Her pretty face said stubbornly, "No, I went back yesterday and thought about it all night, Charlie. Since you saved me for the first time, I have fallen in love with you. The second time you saved me, I have fallen in love with you hopelessly." As she said loudly and emotionally, "I just like you. I just love you. You believe me, if you are willing to be with me, I will not let anyone look down on you. I can be the silent one next to you forever, a woman who supports you." Charlie couldn't help smiling wryly. Elsa only knew that he was her lifesaver, but she didn't know he was also the chairman of the Emgrand Group and the eldest master of the Wade family. If he wanted not to be looked down upon by others, she could immediately disclose his identity and receive worship from countless people from then on. However, that kind of life is not rare at all. But Charlie definitely couldn't say that, otherwise it would hurt Elsa too much. Moreover, it will reveal his true identity. Elsa looked at Charlie and said stubbornly, "It doesn't matter if you reject me now, but I will definitely not back down. I will use my practical actions to let you know that I love you more and suit you better than ever. I can only be your underground lover in the future, and I am willing to follow you forever." Charlie said helplessly, "Elsa, you are just a little impulsive now. I advise you to think about it carefully. Then, I go home to cook, you can think about it yourself." After finishing speaking, Charlie rode away on the tram like escaping. Charlie felt that Elsa must have been hot for 3 minutes, and after 2 days of hiding, she would definitely have no such thoughts. However, at this moment, Elsa looked at Charlie's leaving figure, but her eyes were still very firm. She said to herself, "Elsa, don't be discouraged, you can definitely do it." After returning home, Charlie didn't think about Elsa again. However, after he calmed down, he suddenly thought that the medicine he had promised Tiankai and Song family had not been refined yet. For them, this medicine is simply the most amazing medicinal material in the world. But to Charlie, this medicine was just one of the most common medicinal materials in the 9 profound heaven scriptures. If the more powerful medicines in the 9 profound heaven scriptures can be refined, the effects can even bring back the dead, and even make people immortal, right? However, those high-level medicines require a lot of rare treasures that people have never heard of. What's more, a lot of them also need Reiki as a primer for refining medicine. He has just entered the door, and there is still a long way to go. The road is to go, so I can only do it one step at a time. The reason why he was willing to refining medicine for them was that Charlie himself wanted to take advantage of the opportunity of refining medicine to accumulate more experience in this skill. However, he had no medicinal materials in his hand. Since he was refining medicine for the Song family, he naturally wanted the Song family to help solve this problem, so he directly called Warnya. Recently, Warnya has been thinking about how to have more opportunities to contact Charlie. Grandpa said that if anyone recruits a son-in-law like Charlie, in the family they will be greatly promoted, and a master like Charlie is simply a violent heavenly thing in an uninfluenced family like the Wilson family. Therefore, the best way is to be able to join forces. Only a family called a dragon is worthy of having a son-in-law like a dragon. Dragon son, how can you marry a brood of snakes and rats? The more she thought about it, the stronger her heart for Charlie became, and she even faintly brought some expectations. She wanted to call Charlie more, invite him out to meet more, and create more opportunities for contact. But she was also afraid that becoming too obvious would be seen by Charlie. Warnya is proud of her life. It can be said that she is the most eye-catching princess in Oris Hill. Compared with her, the daughters of other families are not worth mentioning. Therefore, a woman like her is also beyond the reach of Oris Hill men. From birth to now, Warnya hasn't moved any man, but Charlie is the first. It happened that he was still a married man and a son-in-law. Warnya also felt that this was somewhat ironic, and she was uncertain how to develop with Charlie in her heart. Just when Charlie was always in her mind, she received a call from him. At that moment, her girl's heart was full of excitement. When she got on the phone, her voice even trembled, and asked, "Mr. Wade, why do you have time to call me?" Charlie smiled slightly and said, "Miss Song, I am going to start refining medicine tomorrow, but I need some medicinal materials. You can solve it for me and then send it over." Warnya was suddenly excited when she heard that Charlie was finally going to make medicine. The Song family has been waiting for Charlie's magical medicine, but they haven't heard anything about it. Everyone is waiting anxiously, but no one is embarrassed to urge Charlie. After all, Charlie wants to send them meds. How dare they rush to save face? So Warnya hurriedly said, "Mr. Wade, don't worry, you can give me the list of medicinal materials, and I will immediately find the best quality medicinal materials to send to you." "Very good." Charlie smiled slightly and said, "Remember to prepare more weight, I still have other use." Charlie doesn't need money to buy medicinal materials, but he needs a reliable channel for medicinal materials. Good medicinal materials are like good antique cultural relics. The solution is important. His roots in Oris Hill are still relatively shallow, so he's naturally not as good as the Song family. They have cultivated in Oris Hill for hundreds of years, and they are very strong in various ways. Warnya hung up the phone and received a list of medicinal materials from Charlie, so she called Qin Gang of the Qin family as soon as possible. Although the Qin family is not as good as the Song family, the head of the Qin family is in the business of antiques, Yuan, and Chinese herbal medicine. Even Charlie didn't know that Qin Gang was actually the largest supplier of medicinal materials in the entire Oris Hill area. This is mainly because of Qin Gang's medicinal material business is not privately owned. It is a pharmaceutical factory that directly supplies major traditional medicines, as well as chain pharmacies, only wholesale, not retail. Warnya recounted Charlie's list on the phone and then asked, "Mr. Chin Gang, I don't know if I can get these medicinal materials for me. I want the best quality in a large quantity." As soon as Chin Gang heard that Warnya wanted these medicinal materials, he immediately realized what he hurriedly asked, "Miss Song, dare to ask, this medicinal material is prepared for Mr. Charlie Mr. Wade?" "Yes." Warnya had a good relationship with Chin Gang, so she didn't hide her words. She said, "Mr. Stephen should have also heard that Mr. Wade rescued my grandfather. He made a favor a few days ago and wanted to give me some magical medicine. I will prepare medicinal materials for that." Chin Gang said immediately, "Miss Song, don't worry, I will prepare these medicinal materials, and I will deliver them to Mr. Wade directly." Warnya said, "Mr. Jin Gang, please send it off to me, if it's appropriate." Chin Gang said earnestly, "Miss Song, you and I are friends, so I won't tell you those imaginary ones. I also want to dare to ask Mr. Wade for magical medicine. In the future, in case of emergency, I just borrow this opportunity of delivering medicinal materials to Mr. Wade." Warnya thought for a while. Even if she didn't let Chin Gang send medicinal materials, Chin Gang would look for Charlie for medicinal materials, so she just gave him a favor so that he could take advantage of the opportunity to send medicinal materials to Charlie. So she smiled and said, "I don't have any opinion on this, but Mr. Jin Gang must prepare for the medicinal materials that Mr. Wade wants. Don't make any mistakes." Chin Gang quickly assured, "Miss Song, don't worry, I can't fool Mr. Wade." Warnya smiled and said, "That's it, you go and prepare, and send it to Mr. Wade." After hanging up the phone, Chin Gang was very excited. His daughter, Aoxu, the beautiful and hot little pepper, saw her father rub his hands in excitement at this time, and couldn't help asking, "Dad, what are you excited about?" Chin Gang laughed loudly, "There is a great thing." Aoxu asked in surprise, "What's the great thing?" "It's Mr. Wade." Chin Gang said excitedly. Aoxu felt a little in her heart, "Mr. Wade? That amazing Master Wade?" She couldn't help but shyly asked, "Dad, what happened to Mr. Wade?" Chin Gang blurted out, "Mr. Wade is going to make a magic medicine. Miss Song asked me to help Mr. Wade prepare medicinal materials. At that time, I will also be going to ask Mr. Wade to come back for a magic medicine." Since being taught by Charlie to be a human, Aoxu has thoroughly understood what it means to be a person outside the sky and someone outside the person. Knowing that Charlie has great supernatural powers, she has always admired Charlie in her heart, and she is even more ashamed. Ashamed, it was natural that she was overwhelmed at the beginning and even had to compete with Mr. Wade. However, the more beautiful girls with hot personality, the more they like men who are much stronger than them because only such men can convince them. Therefore, Aoxu always regarded Charlie as her biggest idol. Hearing that Charlie wanted to make magical medicine, she couldn't help but exclaimed, she didn't expect Mr. Wade to have this ability to make magical medicine. Chin Gang sighed, "How powerful is Mr. Wade? We only saw the tip of the iceberg. I heard that a few days ago, even the genius Dr. Tiankai paid homage to Mr. Wade's medical skills." His injury was because he bought Mr. Wade casually. Refining magic medicine is mostly better. Gosh! Aoxu was completely shocked. Her family has been doing medicinal materials business all year round, and in fact, she still knows a lot about traditional medicine. Tiankai is one of several superb traditional medicine masters in China. In terms of seniority, he is really at the level of patriarch. Even some big people, it is difficult to invite him out of the mountain. Unexpectedly, even he is not as young as a young man like Mr. Wade. Aoxu couldn't help being full of fascination with Charlie. Such a man with great ability is the object of women's most admiration. Especially a strong woman like her would only worship and surrender to such a powerful man. So, all of a sudden, she felt like a deer crashing in her heart, not to mention how excited she was. Qin Gang suddenly saw his daughters blushing. He was taken aback for a moment, and then immediately realized that his daughters seemed to be a little girly to Charlie. He turned slightly in his heart and hurriedly said to Aoxu, "Aoxu, Dad will prepare medicinal materials now. When the medicinal materials are ready, you will take them to Mr. Wade tomorrow morning." "Me?" Aoxu asked in surprise. "Dad, don't you want to go by yourself? Why do you let me go again?" Qin Gang smiled and said, "You are a girl, and you are about the same age as Mr. Wade. You are both young people, so naturally, you can talk better." After speaking, Qin Gang said again, "Actually, Dad is telling you the truth. Don't look at Mr. Wade's strength and supernatural powers. In fact, he is a very low-key person and has been a son-in-law in the Wilson family for several years." Aoxu nodded and said, "I seem to have heard about this, but I don't understand why Mr. Wade is so powerful. Why does he want to be a son-in-law? Even if he loves that Wilson family woman again, he can directly reveal that he is married. Why does he want to be a son-in-law?" Qin Gang sighed, "This is where Mr. Wade is unpredictable. If you say that it is really because of love, there is nothing wrong with it, but I have heard people say that he and Claire from the Wilson family. In fact, it's just nominal. In the past, Claire's mother told people outside that Mr. Wade was at home and couldn't even get to Claire's bed, so he could only sleep on the floor." "Ah!" Aoxu was dumbfounded. It would be too much to let Mr. Wade sleep on the floor of the Wilson family. Qin Gang said, "They don't understand how great Mr. Wade is. I think it may be one of the ways of cultivation of Mr. Wade. Many people in the world like to practice asceticism, and practice as hard as possible. That's it." Aoxu nodded and said, "Mr. Wade is really amazing." Qin Gang said earnestly at this time, "Daughter, it won't take a long time for Mr. Wade to spread the wings and soar into the sky. At that time, all Oris Hill, and even large families across the country, will be desperate to curry favor with him. The big family will send their most beautiful daughters into his arms. You have to seize this opportunity to deliver medicine to Mr. Wade." "What?" Aoxu blushed all of a sudden. "Dad, what are you talking about? I don't understand what opportunity to take. Still acting stupid with me?" Qin Gang said sternly, "Dad can see that you have admiration for Mr. Wade, right?" Aoxu squeezed ashamedly for a while before finally nodding. Qin Gang said, "I have a hunch that Mr. Wade, this real dragon, will not last long in the little snake den of the Wilson family. One day he will definitely leave the Wilson family. Mr. Wade builds up a good relationship, even a foundation of affection. Speaking of this, Qin Gang looked forward with emotion. If our Qin family can recruit a son-in-law like Mr. Wade, this will definitely influence our family's fortunes for the next 100 years. At that time, we will realize the aspirations of our ancestors. The Qin family has become the top in the land of China. If that is the case, the ancestors' grave will be smoked. The ancestors will be very pleased. Aoxu's heart shuddered when she heard this, and she immediately put away her original shame. Dad was right. This is not a simple matter of love for children. This is the key to whether a family can break through the shackles of fate and meet the weathered dragon. Encountering the weathered dragon is a difficult opportunity for a family to wait for a century. How many families have flourished and disappeared in less than 100 years, but there are also many families that can survive 100 years, but they still cannot go further. The Qin family is the latter. If the Qin family can seize the opportunity of Charlie, it is likely to soar into the sky. This is really an excellent opportunity that may not be encountered in a century. Now, this opportunity seems to be in her own hands. If she can really recruit Charlie into the Qin family, then the family can at least take 100 years of detours. God. The powerful sense of family mission has already urged her heart to quickly move closer to Charlie. So, she immediately said to Qin Gang, "Dad, go and prepare medicinal materials. I will take it to Mr. Wade tomorrow morning." Qin Gang nodded with satisfaction, and said, "It must be beautiful and shiny. My daughter dare not say that she is all over the country, but here in Oris Hill, she is definitely a beautiful woman. If you dress well, you will look absolutely gorgeous." Aoxu's face was blushing, but she nodded very seriously and said, "Don't worry, Dad, I will definitely pay attention." Qin Gang said, "Tomorrow you will see Mr. Wade, remember to tell him that the Qin family respects him very much, and I hope to serve him all the time, and to support him in the future. In addition, tell Mr. Wade that our Qin family has been doing this for nearly 100 years. In the medicinal material business, what kind of good medicinal materials he needs in the future, just tell us and it will be arranged. After you have said this, please ask Mr. Wade to ask him whether he can give the Qin family a magical medicine. The Qin family will be grateful for everything. I believe that after you say this, Mr. Wade will definitely not refuse." Early the next morning, Charlie was about to go out to buy vegetables, so he received a call. It was Aoxu, the little pepper of the Qin family. Aoxu got on the phone, and asked happily, "Mr. Wade, are you at home now?" Charlie snorted and said, "At home, why, are you looking for something to do with me?" Aoxu said, "My dad asked me to send you some medicinal materials, saying that it was Warnya's order. I wonder if it will be convenient for you? If it is convenient, I will bring it to the door." His wife, Claire, went to work in the studio. The old master drove his mother-in-law to Thompson's villa to see the progress of the renovation, so Charlie was at home alone, which was not inconvenient. So he said, "It's convenient for me. Come here directly." Aoxu hurriedly said, "Okay, Mr. Wade. I will be there soon." A few minutes later, Charlie heard a knock on the door. When he opened the door, he saw Aoxu, who was wearing a beige dress with a black shawl and long hair, was standing in the doorway, with a huge suitcase in her hand, and a shy face. "Hello Mr. Wade, I am Aoxu. I don't know if you still remember me." Aoxu was extremely nervous at the moment. Since her father told her yesterday the importance of Mr. Wade to the future of the family, she tossed and turned all night and did not sleep well. Charlie was naturally all thinking in her mind. She is also at the age of a young girl. Which girl doesn't want to find a handsome, rich, and powerful man who is a good husband too? And when she looked around, there were no men in the world who could compete with Charlie. This is the real candidate for a good husband. Don't say that Dad hopes to make progress with him, even if he doesn't say it, she can't help but be fascinated by him. Charlie didn't know why Aoxu was so nervous. The last time he saw her, she was very savage and insisted on competing with herself. Why does she seem today as if he has changed? The hot little pepper suddenly turned into a fresh and delicious cucumber? So he asked curiously, "What's wrong with you today? It seems to be a big change from before." Aoxu said in embarrassment, "Mr. Wade, I used to be ignorant, and last time I was frivolous in front of Master Wade. Please forgive me." Charlie smiled and said, "It seems that the changes are really big." After speaking, he flashed over and said, "Stop talking at the door, come in." Aoxu nodded hurriedly and walked in carefully holding the box. Charlie saw that it was exhausting to pull this huge box. Aoxu is also a trainer and has some strength. Normally strong labor may not be her opponent. She is still so hard. It seems that this box must be very difficult. So he asked curiously, "What's in your box? Why is it so heavy?" Aoxu hurriedly said, "Mr. Wade, these are all medicinal materials my father prepared for you, and they are all top quality medicinal materials." After speaking, she put the suitcase on the floor of the living room and opened the suitcase. The most eye-catching medicinal materials are really the best. Even Charlie himself had no way to buy the best medicinal materials. Charlie was a little shocked and couldn't help asking, "How can your father get so many such good medicinal materials?" Aoxu hurriedly said, "Mr. Wade knows something. My Qin family manages a lot of business. One of them is medicinal materials. Our ancestors were medicinal materials dealers from the Qing dynasty. We had our own mule and horse team to collect the top medicinal materials and transport them. We sold it to princes and nobles in the capital and sold it to rich merchants in Oris Hill. For so many years, we have not lost this business." After that, Aoxu hurriedly said, "By the way, my father asked me to tell Mr. Wade that if Mr. Wade has any demand for medicinal materials in the future, tell us directly, the Qin family will do everything possible to meet your needs." Charlie was also surprised. Ever since he accidentally obtained the 9 profound heavenly secrets, he was attracted by the mystery in it. There are so many abilities and prescriptions for refining medicine, but many medicinal materials have never even heard of it. He was still worrying about this, but he didn't expect that the Qin family was a medicinal material merchant with a century-old heritage. This is really nowhere to be found after breaking through the iron shoes, and it is all effortless. So he couldn't hide his joy and said, "Okay. Very good. With the help of your Qin family in the future, my medicine refining will be much easier." Aoxu heard Charlie talking about refining medicine, hesitated again and again, gathered courage, and knelt on the ground with a thud. Charlie was startled by her sudden movement, and asked in surprise, "Aoxu, what are you doing?" Aoxu knelt on her knees, clasped her fists in her hands, and pleaded with a pious expression, "Mr. Wade, my father heard that you are going to make magical medicine, and he yearned for it, so I begged Mr. Wade, can I be here?" After refining the magic medicine, it is also true Aoxu stayed for a long time and didn't say anything else. She has always been admired by others since she was a child. How can she beg others? Not to mention begging for something. Therefore, this thin-skinned girl is now embarrassed to tell her real needs. Seeing her hesitating, Charlie couldn't help worrying about her. However, even if Aoxu didn't say it, he knew Aoxu's request in his heart. So he said lightly, "Does your father also want a magic medicine?" Aoxu nodded as soon as she heard this. Immediately, she hurriedly said, "If Mr. Wade is too burdened, we will never force it." Charlie smiled. What kind of magical medicine is the medicine he wants to refine for Tiankai and the others? It's nothing more than the lowest grade medicine in the 9 profound heaven scriptures. This kind of thing is easy and trouble-free when refining. As long as there are raw materials, it can be produced in minutes, which is faster than steaming buns with noodles. What the Qin family wants is nothing more than medicine. Of course, he will not refuse. The most important thing is that in the future, he will rely on the Qin family to prepare medicinal materials for himself. If this time he can take the Qin family for his own use and let them become his disciples, it will be much easier for medicinal materials in the future. So, he looked at Aoxu, who was embarrassed and flushed with eyes full of pleading, smiled slightly, reached out to support her, and smiled, "Your father wants my medicine, I can give it." Really? Aoxu was suddenly excited when she heard this. Charlie smiled and said, "Of course it's true. Even if you don't look at your dad's face, I can't refuse it because of your little beauty." In fact, Charlie was joking. But unexpectedly, after Aoxu listened, the deer slammed into her heart. At this time, Charlie, in order to invite people to buy their hearts, smiled indifferently, "Well, since I have a relationship with your Qin family, this time I will give you 2 pills when I refine the magical medicine." Whether it was Qin Gang or Aoxu, they only dared to ask for one magic medicine that Charlie had made. In their opinion, it is already smoke from the ancestral grave to be able to get a magic medicine. With this magical medicine in hand, in the future, as long as people still have half their breath, they can be rescued from purgatory. It is of great significance to a family like them. However, no one dares to ask for it. Charlie will give them 2. Aoxu stayed where she was struck by lightning when she heard this. She looked at Charlie with beautiful eyes, and a layer of mist was cast in a moment. Then, tears that were bigger than mung beans rolled down, and Charlie inevitably felt pity when he saw it. Aoxu was crying, and choked up and asked, "Mr. Wade, are you speaking the truth?" Charlie smiled and said, "What? Are you afraid that Mr. Wade lied to you? Don't dare!" Aoxu hurriedly shook her head, the teardrops fluttered, making Charlie feel so cute about her. Aoxu wiped her tears and smiled, "I just can't believe that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. After that, Aoxu bowed. She believed that even if her father was here and heard Charlie say that he would give 2 magic pills, she would definitely bow down and thank you. Seeing her excited look, Charlie smiled slightly and said, Aoxu, go back and tell your father that I, Charlie, have always been a gentleman who has trouble chasing after a gentleman. After the magical medicine is refined, I will give him 2 pills. But if I have any needs for the Qin family in the future, he must not reject me, do you understand? Aoxu nodded hurriedly, and said excitedly, I understand, Mr. Wade. Thank you. Charlie nodded and said, Okay, Aoxu, you don't need to kneel, get up. Aoxu hurriedly said. Aoxu obeyed. After speaking, she stood up cautiously. Charlie smiled and said, We are not an ancient martial arts movie, needless to say so politely. Aoxu hurriedly said, Dad always teaches me that I must be polite and respectful to seniors. Mr. Wade, you have the ability to reach the sky. Naturally, Aoxu must be respectful and respect you. Charlie smiled faintly and said, I looked at your temper before, and seemed to have been spoiled since childhood. I didn't expect it to be a book and a gift, and I am impressed. Aoxu was happy, but also a little embarrassed. How can she know how to deliver gifts? Before today, she was still that unruly little pepper. It's her temperament, if she doesn't accept anyone she can choke at anyone. But now, in front of Charlie, she was really convinced by 10,000 people, and her father was eagerly looking forward to her with expectations, so in front of Charlie, she unconsciously wanted to be a well-behaved and loving kitten. Seeing that it was late, Charlie said to Aoxu, Aoxu, I will accept the medicinal materials first, but I have to go out to buy vegetables, or let's go out together. Aoxu realized that she was delaying Mr. Wade's work, and nodded hurriedly, saying, Mr. Wade, Aoxu won't disturb you. Charlie shook his head slightly and said, Don't think about it, go back and tell your dad that I will contact him after the medicine is refined. Okay, Mr. Wade. Aoxu immediately bowed and saluted. Charlie held his arms before stopping her, and then hid the medicine materials in the kitchen, and then went out with her. At the gate of the community, Aoxu thanked him a lot, and then reluctantly bid farewell to Charlie and drove home. Charlie, on the other hand, returned to the old wasteful son-in-law's appearance. He dragged a small cart for grocery shopping with a brand of washing powder and walked to the small vegetable market near his home. Aoxu returned home with great excitement in her heart. At this time in the Qin mansion, Qin Gang was waiting anxiously. He didn't know whether Charlie could agree to his daughter's visit to ask for medicine. After all, although he wanted to be a dog for Charlie, he was afraid that Charlie would not look down upon a family like his own. The Qin family in Oris Hill is stronger than Solomon White's but much worse than Warnya's. And Charlie is the target of the Song family. With the Song family in front, how can there be a chance to show his face? Aoxu came back when she was feeling uneasy. As soon as her car stopped in the courtyard of the villa, Qin Gang ran out quickly. Just as she had stopped the car and pushed the door down, Qin Gang hurriedly asked, Aoxu, how was it? Did Mr. Wade agrees? Aoxu nodded and nodded repeatedly with tears in her eyes. Dad, Mr. Wade agreed. Great. Qin Gang burst into laughter with excitement. At this time, Aoxu said again, "Dad," Mr. Wade said, "he wants to give us two." "What?" Qin Gang was dumbfounded. "Two? Give us? Mr. Wade is going to give us two magic pills. You can't get it wrong." Qin Gang felt that he could not even breathe. Aoxu nodded at this time and said very seriously, "It is indeed to give us two magical medicines, I heard it right." "Oh my God!" Qin Gang burst into tears, "Mr. Wade is trying to pull our Qin family." Aoxu said hurriedly, "Mr. Wade said, he will have some demand for medicinal materials in the future, and wants us to cooperate well." Qin Gang said excitedly, "Great Aoxu! Great! Mr. Wade is going to promote our Qin family. With his great God, our Qin family will be revitalized, so there is hope for us." After that, he asked again, "By the way, Mr. Wade saw you, does he show any special expressions?" Aoxu's face flushed to the base of her neck. She vaguely said, Mr. Wade, he said, oh, what did Mr. Wade say?" Aoxu lowered her head and said in embarrassment, "Mr. Wade said, for the face of my little beauty, he can't refuse." "Ha ha ha!" Qin Gang laughed 3 times and exulted, "There is a play! There is a play! It seems that one day in the future, Mr. Wade may also become my Qin Gang's son-in-law." Aoxu said shyly, "Dad, what are you talking about?" Qin Gang said excitedly, "Anything is possible. Aoxu, you have to keep working hard." After finishing speaking, Qin Gang said excitedly, "Mr. Wade has great magical powers, and his style of behavior must be different from ordinary people, and he certainly doesn't care about the worldly gazes and moral constraints. Otherwise, with his power, how could he succumb to the Wilson family to be a man? Home son-in-law? So, my daughter, you must continue to work hard and strive to cook mature rice with Mr. Wade. It is best to have a son for Mr. Wade. In that case, my Qin family really has to vacate. Go up." Aoxu was so embarrassed that she couldn't wait to dig a hole and get in, covering her face and saying, "Dad, what are you talking about? It's disrespectful." After finishing speaking, she stomped her feet and ran back to her room. The matter of Charlie's refining magical medicine spread like wildfire among several upper-class families in Oris Hill. Solomon White, the owner of the White family, Fungui Bao, the owner of Treasure Pavilion, and Orville, the owner of Classic Mansion, all heard the news. Although the 3 of them couldn't help but want to ask Charlie for medicine, Solomon White was the only one who really had the face to speak. Solomon White is confident. After all, he had already expressed his sincerity to Charlie long ago, and even gave Charlie a Thompson first-class villa that had been bought for more than 100 million. Therefore, he also ran to Charlie's house in the afternoon, taking advantage of Charlie's own home, and begged Charlie for a magical medicine. Charlie did not refuse him. After all, he's a relatively comfortable person. Although his son and nephew are a bit stupid and a bit bad, they have been taught the lesson. Now he treats himself honestly and docilely. It's just medicine, no need. Stingy. Solomon White got an affirmative answer and slammed Charlie 3 heads excitedly. The richer people are more afraid of death. For them, the miracle medicine is like a miracle medicine for rebirth. Everyone wants to be able to get self-defense. After agreeing to Solomon White and sending him away, Charlie took out some medicinal materials at home and refined a batch of pills. In this batch, he used only 1/10 of the medicinal materials to make 30 pills. Moreover, because the pill this time uses a full set of prescriptions, the medicinal materials are much better than the last one, so the efficacy is more than 10 times higher. If the previous one can treat almost most moderate internal injuries and has some effect on all internal injuries, then this time the pill can almost heal fatal internal injuries. Even Tiankai's years of old wounds and stubborn illnesses can be cured by swallowing half a capsule. If you are chased by a master, even if you only have one breath, you can survive by taking this medicine. After refining the medicine, Charlie kept 20 of them, took out 10 of them, and called Warnya, Tiankai, Qin Gang, and Solomon White that he had refined the magic medicine. It will be set up at Orville's classic mansion tonight. Banquet, distribute the magic medicine to them. When everyone heard it, they were ecstatic. Unexpectedly, Mr. Wade is really a dragon. The magic medicine was made so quickly. It's almost as fast as making dumplings. That night, everyone came to Classic Mansion in advance, waiting for Charlie's ride. Charlie prepared meals for Claire, his father-in-law, and his mother-in-law before telling them that he had an old friend from the orphanage who had come back and wanted to meet for a small gathering and then slipped out of the house. At the gate of Classic Mansion, Solomon White, Qin Gang, and his daughter, Warnya, the genius Dr. Tiankai, his granddaughters Hovia, Orville, and others personally greeted them at the door. Today, Classic Mansion closed doors and thanked guests, only to entertain Charlie alone. Seeing Charlie, everyone's expressions were stunned, and they clasped their fists and said respectfully, "Welcome, Mr. Wade." Charlie glanced at the crowd and smiled faintly. "You guys came really early. When did you arrive?" Warnya smiled slightly. "Mr. Wade, it's rare for you to organize the game yourself. We must arrive a little earlier to show respect." For today's dinner, Warnya deliberately dressed up and put on an elegant and noble black evening dress. The tulle lining outlines her perfect and slim curve, but it does not appear coquettish, but rather different. Charming. Coupled with Warnya's perfect facial features, she showed her temperament to the fullest. Charlie couldn't help but look at it a few more times, and today's Warnya is truly amazing. If you compare her with Claire, the appearance and build of the two are almost equal to each other, but in terms of temperament, Claire is more than one grade lower than Warnya. After all, Warnya is a daughter of the Song family, and her temperament is beyond the reach of an ordinary woman. Aoxu also blushed and walked in front of Charlie, and also bowed. Unlike Warnya, who is a mature and intellectual beauty, Aoxu's heroic appearance is fused with the appearance of a current little woman, and it has a special flavor. Aoxu painted light makeup, coupled with her own martial arts practice. The original temperament was like a snow lotus on an iceberg, extremely lingering. However, after Charlie was in her heart, she became like a flower in full bloom in the spring sunshine, a little more tender. At this moment, she looked at Charlie, her cheeks couldn't help showing a crimson color, adding a little daughter's gesture. There was a strange flash in Warnya's eyes on the side. A woman's instinct made her subconsciously dampen Aoxu. She thought to herself, this Aoxu of the Qin family, doesn't have ideas for Mr. Wade? Grandfather has instructed her to find a way to recruit Mr. Wade as the son-in-law of the Song family. And she was really tempted by this proposal. Could it be that Aoxu from the Qin family had the same thoughts as her own? Charlie didn't know the thoughts of Warnya and Aoxu, but just smiled at everyone, and said, "You will remember from now on, get along with me, you don't need too much red tape, I am a person who looks down on everything, you just need to treat me plainly." When everyone heard this, they waved their hands quickly. Qin Gang reverently said, "What kind of status is Mr. Wade? We should serve respectfully and not break the rules." Solomon White also followed, "Mr. Wade, as the Supreme Master of Nangguang, is kind to me and waits for me. Let alone wait for a while, even if we wait for a day, we won't say anything." Tian Kai couldn't help but put his hand over and said, "Mr. Wade is unparalleled in medical skills, but anyone in Oris Hill will admire him as long as he knows Mr. Wade's superb skills." Seeing this, Charlie nodded helplessly and said, "Okay, let's not stand at the door, let's go in first." Warnya smiled softly, "Mr. Wade, please first." Charlie didn't refuse and walked in the forefront. The other big brothers followed Charlie in turn, falling half of their body distance, not dare to increase it. Entering the diamond box of classic mansion, the dishes in the elegant room are ready and the table is full of delicacies. Charlie didn't invite many people, but they were all important figures in Oris Hill City. All of them were bigwigs. If they were seen by outsiders, they would definitely be shocked. As the owner of Classic Mansion, Orville said in a respectful tone, "Mr. Wade, I heard that you are going to treat guests at Classic Mansion. So, I specially set up this table of dishes. The dishes are higher than the general diamond box specifications. There is more than one grade, and the wine is also a century-old Mutai aged wine that was specially delivered by air from Guizhou overnight. I hope you will be satisfied." Although Orville knew Charlie's abilities a long time ago, the many bigwigs who came today completely shocked him. Warnya, the eldest lady of the Song family, Qin Gang, and daughter of the Qin family, Solomon White, the head of the White family, and the genius Dr. Tian Kai. There is a single pick from here. They are all important figures in Oris Hill, but in front of Charlie, they are like harmless little sheep. Therefore, people like Orville who are mixed with society are even more inferior. Come to the table. With so many bigwigs gathered together, Orville didn't dare to speak loudly at all. Even in his territory, when he entered the private room, he could only behave like a pug, wagging his tail in front of Charlie, hoping that he could take a look at himself. Seeing that Orville was so careful, Charlie smiled at him, nodded, and said, "Mr. Orville, you are interesting." Orville heard Charlie's words and said with excitement, "It is my honor to be able to do things for Mr. Wade. Mr. Wade, please come to your seat." Charlie nodded slightly and sat down in the position of Master Wade. Then Orville said respectfully, "Mr. Wade has any instructions, just call me, I will be at the door." After all, he carefully exited the box and guarded the door of the diamond box like a waiter. Mr. Orville is also the king of Oris Hill Underground. But at this time, he was just a gangster who couldn't get on the stage. Each of these big men who ate with Charlie was much better than himself. In his capacity, he was not qualified to go directly to the table. It was already 3 lives fortunate to be able to talk to Charlie. As soon as Charlie sat down on the main seat, Warnya followed closely and directly sat in Charlie's right seat. The two were close to each other, only half a distance away. Charlie could even smell the faint fragrance of Warnya's body. According to the rules at the dinner table, the most distinguished person is the main seat, and the next level person is on both sides of the VIP guests. Among them, the Song family is the strongest. As the representative of the Song family, Warnya naturally wants to sit with Charlie. Therefore, at this time, whoever could sit on the other side of Charlie became the object of other people's intentions to fight. Qin Gang pushed Aoxu at this time and smiled and said to Charlie, "Mr. Wade, you are a person with great magical powers. My daughter Aoxu has admired you for a long time and has always regarded you as an idol in her heart. Why not let her sit too? Next to you, serving you tea and pouring wine, what do you think?" As soon as she said this, Warnya raised her pretty brows, and the expressions in Qin Gang's eyes were quite meaningful. But Solomon White cursed secretly in his heart, what a shame that old dog Qin wanted to use his daughter to get closer to Mr. Wade. The main reason why Solomon White gritted his teeth in his heart is mainly that he has no daughters. He secretly thought, if Solomon White, my daughter, will come out frantically when I get you Qin Gang. At this time, Aoxu was flushed and embarrassed in her heart. Although she also liked Mr. Wade, her father had already said that she should seize the opportunity, but in front of a group of people, it was too shameful. However, although she was embarrassed, Aoxu was not the kind of twisted person, and she simply said openly, "Mr. Wade, please give Aoxu a chance to serve." Charlie was taken aback when he heard the words, and said lightly, "Since you have this heart, just sit next to me." Aoxu was overjoyed and hurriedly bowed to thank him, and then sat next to Charlie. Tian Kai's eyes were very envious. In fact, he also wanted his granddaughter to sit next to Mr. Wade. However, Aoxu was the first step, and the first step forward without removing this face for a while. Tian Kai did not dare to think about making Zhovia the woman of Mr. Wade. But if Zhovia could be favored by Mr. Wade and accepted as a maid, that would be the blessing of cultivation in 8 lifetimes. Because Charlie's medical skills are superb, and even his own ancestral medical skills, he knows better than himself. If Zhovia is fortunate to be able to serve Charlie in the future, she will definitely have the opportunity to learn. This is also one of his purposes for bringing Zhovia to the dinner. Of course, another purpose is naturally to seek medicine from Charlie. He has been tortured by his own injuries for half his life, and now he finally has the opportunity to cure him in one fell swoop. Thinking of this, Tian Kai gave Zhovia a profound look, so she must look for opportunities to get closer to Charlie. How could Zhovia not know her grandfather's thoughts, and her cheeks suddenly became crimson, alluring, embarrassing, and hot. Zhovia hurriedly lowered her head, but waves arose in her heart. From time to time, she raised her head to look at Charlie, her fingers tangled together again. Mr. Wade is the most powerful genius doctor she has ever seen. Both her character and appearance are superior. It is not an exaggeration to describe it as rare in the world, but she also knows very well in her heart that she can't be worthy of Mr. Charlie's attention and admiration. Except for Zhovia, Aoxu and Warnya also looked at Charlie's eyes with strange colors, and their beautiful eyes never moved away from him. Charlie didn't notice the gaze of the three women. He looked at everyone and smiled. He raised the cup and said, "Everyone, Wade is in Oris Hill. It's so fateful to know you all. I have a banquet today and I want to get in touch with everyone more than I can usually. In the future in Oris Hill, I will inevitably need every one of you to help me." As soon as his hand moved, the crowd at the table also picked up the cups, for fear that it was a step slower. Warnya hurriedly said to Charlie, "Mr. Wade is too polite. If you have anything, please do not hesitate to tell us. This is what we should do." Tian Kai also followed. "Mr. Wade reaches the world, and his medical skills are superb. The old master will admire you very much. If Mr. Wade has any dispatch in the future, the old master will dare not follow it." Charlie smiled faintly, and said, "Okay, everything is in the wine, everyone will do this glass. Mr. Wade, cheers." Everyone drank a glass of wine together, and then respectfully raised the glass, seeing Charlie dare not put it down. Charlie put the wine glass down first and then took out a box from his arms. Everyone immediately stopped all their movements, and even their breathing became more cautious, their eyes all staring at the box. Their excitement could not increase. They know that in this box is the magic medicine everyone is thinking of. Charlie looked at everyone at this time, and said lightly, "This is the medicine he is refining this time." "Really?" Everyone suddenly became excited. Everyone came rushing to this magical medicine, and at this time they couldn't wait to see the magical medicine. Charlie opened the box, revealing the 10 pills in it, and said lightly, "Everyone, the medicine I refined this time is at least 10 times more effective than the medicine I refined last time." 10 times. Everyone was too excited to speak. They wanted a magic medicine like the last time they were satisfied, but they didn't expect this magic medicine to be 10 times better than the last one. Charlie said at this time, "My medicine, I dare not say that it can save the dead and turn the living into immortals, but it can strengthen the body, prolong life, and cure all diseases. Before dying, as long as you have a breath, you can get a life back after taking my medicine. It is not a problem to live for a few more years. Therefore, after you take it, you must be cautious and not be s3 swallowed." Everyone was horrified and unbearable. This time, the medicine was so amazing. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.